Hey, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Vessel Podcast miniseries. Yeah, I still haven't decided what it is that we're going to call this thing. Vessel Podcast miniseries is a mouthful for something that's only supposed to be a miniseries, but it's working for now. And today we have with us Tzvi Levitin, who is here to talk about the module of his choice, which totally surprised and amazed me that you were like zoning in to that module. You're like, I'm taking module 1, the module on self-love, which so excited me to have a guy be like, that's the one I want to talk about, because you don't necessarily associate the module on self-love with that masculine energy. But before we go into that, Tzvi, why don't you tell us who you are, where you come from, what it is that you do in this work, in this world, and where you're hoping to go with all of that.
Okay, awesome. First of all, everyone, it's great to be here. I'm really excited, super excited actually. So I'm a Rabbi in the morning. I teach grade 3 in the morning. I've been doing that for a while, for a bunch of years. At night, I run in high school. I run like a night Seder program on the Shalom Yeshiv in high school. And in the afternoon, I'm a coach. I am a life and business strategist, and I help people uncover their core wounds, as we'll say it, in a safe, really safe environment where they can find their true power. And that's where I am, and I that's how I help people. I try my hardest to bring it into the classroom, to bring it into with the teenagers, and to bring it to myself. And that's who I am, trying to become a person that will be able to get more of this out into the world, because we really need this. Everyone needs this.
You have this incredible like dichotomy with your work that is very rare. It's not so rare for me to see, because I think in my world I tend to see this a lot, but in a larger world, people are very often mystified. Like, what do you mean? You teach kids, you teach little kids, right? Grade 3 is what, age 9, 10? But
9, yeah.
right, but then you're talking about like business strategist in terms of your coaching and in terms of the people that you work with. You work on the adult level as well. And I think when people view this work, they just assume that they're two different worlds, that people who relate really, really well to kids, they don't belong in corporate, they don't belong in business, and vice versa. And you're like, nope, I do this in the morning, I do this in the afternoons, and in the evening, I do something completely different. So can you talk about this? I'm going to assume that there is a thread of continuity that you find no matter who you're working with. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, actually, we just sat down in the school, and we spoke about, like, we had this, like, write a letter to your future, like, not like, he said, you're 80 years old, you're being honored at the school, and all your students are coming up and talking about them. What would you want them to say?
You did this with whom?
So
With the staff or the students?
I know I did this with the
Okay.
staff, not yet with I don't think the students in grade 3 are there yet,
Okay.
but with the staff, we wanted to be like, what do you want people to say about you and your style of teaching, and like who you were for them? So this is really like, I want everyone to understand that, like, that me as a Rebbe, or me as a person, I was able to see beyond the actions that they were doing, be able to see be able to see them for who they really were, not defining them by the actions that they do. And that's really powerful, because so much of our automatic go-to is, this person did this, it means something. And it's always like taking a deep breath, relaxing, and no, there's something deeper behind there. Let's see if we can get there. I'm not perfect, I think, but that's definitely my go-to. And that's literally a theme of starting from when a kid is young until they're 95 years old. There's nothing that we do which is just we happen to do it. There's always something deeper behind it. And the more grounded and present we can be, the more we're able to access that, and then teach it as a skill, to be able to access it with our friends, and with our families, with our neighbors.
Yeah, I relate to that a lot, because my trajectory also has not been like, I haven't been doing this my whole life. People know me as this because, hey, you can Google my name and this is what comes up. What people don't know about me is that I started off right after I got married. I was teaching, and I taught
Yeah.
grade 7, I taught grade 8, I taught high school as well, and I was a head counselor in day camp. So we're talking about,
What was that?
from age 3 to 13. And it never phased me. It didn't matter if I was working with 3-year-olds or if I was working with 30-year-olds. There are certain core principles, like you say, that comes, they just come up again and again. Of course, it's different when you're working with a 3-year-old brain structure to a 13-year-old brain structure, but
100%.
that relatability of who we are and how we're influenced by our belief systems and by what's underneath our behaviors is so, it's so prevalent. It comes across no matter what, no matter who you're working with.
Yeah, it really does. I've also been there. I've been to day camp. I ran a day camp for 3 years. I love the energy that kids have, and before I'm like, Baruch Hashem, I'm growing as a in my own self development work, but even before that, just like watching a kids run around, or even watching Bachrim interact with each other, full of life, and then watching adults also coming in, and seeing that, like, there's part of them that's still full of life, but there's part of them that's like trying to shut that down, and really tapping into that energy and that life that everyone has, but it's so masked behind what we do. I love bringing that out, and then helping that and working with that.
The line that you just said, it's so masked by what we do. Whenever you meet an adult and adults introduce themselves to one another, it's like, "Hi, my name is Fally, and I am," right? And they, instead of saying what I am, they actually say what they do. Like, I am a teacher. I am a real estate developer. And it's like, no, no, that's not what you are. That's what you do. And it's exactly what you said. We're so influenced, or the way we think about ourselves, we think about what we do. But kids are like, no, it's like, I'm Fally and I'm happy today.
Yeah, sometimes I wish I could wake up like that. And I do wake up like that a lot of times. It's hard. Like, we have to be the adult in our lives also at the same time as we want to be the kid in our lives. So that's like a balance that we have to work out.
So I want to actually go back to something that you said about what it is that you do. You said that you're a coach, right? Other than being a Rebbe, you're a coach. And I know that in the larger world, there are a lot of misconceptions about what the word coach means. I know that for years, I had a reputation. People believed about me that I was very against coaching. And it's not true. It's just that there's a very broad range of what people think coaching is. In fact, when I first hired someone to do my website, it was the first web developer that I hired, and it's not the person who ended up doing my website for this particular reason. They interviewed me. They wanted to get a little bit of an understanding about what it is that I do, and I'm not a coach. It's not what I do. But when they designed my website, they put there like Fally Klein, life coach, and then underneath they didn't write coach. They wrote couch. And so when I saw myself advertised as a life couch, I was like, nope, I'm done. Like, so tell us what your definition of coaching is, because I think it's one of those very unregulated terms. And so everybody has their own attachment to it. And I want people to really get a good idea of how you define that, and what does that mean in the work that you do with people?
Yeah, okay. I really appreciate that question, because actually I do remember on one of your Q&As how you went off on like this, like about everyone just takes like a little certification, and they call themselves a coach or a breathwork facilitator or whatever, and it's really it's not something that you can just take lightly, and so that caused me to redefine exactly what I'm doing and how I'm doing that. But it's more about being able to, having the knowledge that I can help people transform. I can be with them in their transformation. It's like I know that, yeah, even though I have imposter syndrome a lot of times, like, who said
No,
I'm gonna
for
be? Am I
real?
gonna be able to?
You?
It's only me, but I know that I know that I get really deep with people, and I go and I really help them, and I'm with them in their transformation. I sit with them, hold space for them, as you say, and so when I know that I can do that, and I'm not the be all end all answer. I still have a therapist, which I see weekly. I still have my own coach, which I multiple times a week, which I'm in touch with. And when I coach people, I actually I have a supervisor, and I have a supervisor which I discuss anything, all cases before we start, and exactly how the trajectory is going to go with updates. So I do know that for me, what I'm doing, the work that I'm doing, I know that I confidently say as best as possible that I'm not just a guy that has some ideas and is just throwing out all my golden nuggets at people for. So my definition of coaching is it's a hard one because I think that like in therapists today, I mean, I've been to a lot of people. I have someone today that's doing a sort of mix, sort of like going back into the past and but also keep on moving things into the future. So for me, coaching is someone is coming to me, someone is stuck, someone wants to move forward, they don't know how. So I help them, I ask them questions and I help them get to the real root of where they're stuck, and then I ask them what they need in order to get fixed, and I go with that. And a lot of times we run into core wounding and inner child, and help them process that. Once they process that, it's much easier to move on. So that's really what I do in coaching. I don't have a specific modality type of thing. More like everyone is good, everyone is amazing, people are awesome, and they're just stuck and they're just blocked. Some people are more blocked, some people are less blocked, and we just sit with that and be okay with it and breathe through it literally and see what comes up. Not yet full breathing, not yet. But
Yeah, just surprise.
you could
This
say,
is
yeah,
your
you could
Osama
say,
interview, Tzvi.
yes, I know. I would have loved to be on Alzheimer this year, and Be'ezah Hashem Yisbarach, I will be there next
Yeah,
cohort.
you were the one. You were the first person to email me. You're like, I'm in. Like, I want to check. Am I in for the ninth cohort of Azamra? And for people who are confused, we're counting down. Last year, our first year was our 10th cohort. This year, our second year is our ninth. Because I'm one of those people who needs to keep upping the ante. So I don't know if I'll be doing this for more than 10 years. So Tzvi was the first one. He's like, can I register for the ninth cohort? All right, Tzvi, you're registered for the eighth. You're it.
And Mr. Shem, I'm super, super excited about that also because for me, I've done a lot of breath work and like a lot of like trained facilitators, and but I'm always like I don't like to go to that full breath work. I don't do it at all because I'm not trained.
What you
And
mean
I
with
don't
your
claim to be
clients?
trained. I mean, yeah, I mean with my clients, with myself, I try to get there, daily. But with my clients, I do want to be able to get there with my clients because I feel that that would really help move things through. But either way, just taking a couple of deep breaths every single session, multiple times during the session, and really asking gently what's going on, which is really what a lot of what I learned from you. That's
Yeah.
really what I'm going to say. But I'm assuming you're going to ask me some more questions,
Yeah.
so you'll take it from
I
there.
was going to add to what you said about being a coach. Just recently, I was having this conversation with someone who was accusing me, right, of being anti coaching. I'm like, no, you misconstrued what I said. I'm anti unregulated, like you say, with 2 week certification. But, what I was describing to this person was what I view a coach is when someone comes to a coach and says, hey, I want to go to the Olympics, right? I want you as a coach to take me all the way to the top. And you need to be able to trust that your coach can do that for you and with you.
Yeah.
And it's a
Yes.
dual approach. Like the coach has to trust that you have the skills, the abilities, the natural gifts to get yourself that far, right? Not everybody's a gifted basketball player or skier or whatever it is that, gold medalist worthy,
Yes.
right? So the coach has to believe in the client, but the client also has to believe that it's not going to be your next door neighbor just being like, rah, rah, you got this. A coach has a certain level of skill and capacity to actually take you to the very specific place that you want to go, take you to the end,
100%.
right? And a swimming coach is not going to be the same thing as a bobsledding coach, right? So it's not like a one size fits all. It's client centered, but it's also
Yeah.
who is this coach and do they have the capacity and the training and the depth to really take you where you want to go?
100%. And that's really like what I've been nonstop learning. I'm nonstop. I listen to I listen to podcasts. I continue. I've gotten most of the books that you recommend in your thing. I've a whole bunch, whatever you can if you could see it, but
I see the
a whole
bookshelf
bunch of
behind you.
the bookshelves. I don't know. Yeah, I have to. I was supposed to move it around before, but um, so it's really like, yeah, every single session, I always start off with our goal, with our big goal that we decided before. Okay, that's our goal. We're getting there. Where are we now? And it's literally every session. Where were we? Let's share a win, and how are we getting to our goal? And if I don't believe that a client can get to the goal, I won't take on the client. Like there's loads of people that I've just had a great conversations with, and thank you, and I could refer them to someone else. But yeah, and
Yeah.
thank you very much for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that analogy, like it just like popped into my mind when I was talking to somebody, and I was like, people don't understand the depth of what true coaching is. It's not also like we have to believe in the client. We have to know the intricacies. Like you say, there's a big goal, And there's a lot of micro goals to get there. And we need to know that every big goal is a thousand steps. And I think a true coach can really break down the big goal into the thousand steps that's needed. And yeah, it's like you said, some of those steps do require that we go to the past. They do require that we move through some pain, some blockages, but it's part of a much bigger picture that's going to get us to an ultimate goal. And I'm sure you can tell us more about this. I mean, these goals are not achieved overnight, right? Like, what would you say the
Yeah.
trajectory of a person working with you is?
So for me personally, I mean, it depends. If it's in business where it's not so personal, so I can go shorter because the goal usually is like a monetary goal, which the person is going to be upping your game as business, so we can go shorter. If it's personal transformation, I don't like to go anything less than 12 weeks, which is 90 days. And I've literally seen transformation, like the transformation piece falling into place. A lot of times, sometimes in the beginning, but a lot of times going and showing up at the last week or two, literally. And it's like I tell them, if you show up, I can promise you that you will hit your transformation. I'm not, no, your life will not be fixed. You will hit the transformation that you're looking for and the goal that you're looking to get. You will get there. If you show up for 90 days, you will get there. And that's really, I mean, I like to look at it as not like I don't know, when I was a kid, when the cars, they went like this,
Windshield wipers?
no, not the windshield. I'm talking about like like the speedometer.
Okay, yeah.
It's sort of like I don't know. It's not like a step. It's sort of like it's on a spectrum. Call it. We can have transformation that's really small but so powerful that can really get us. That will be the lock in that will really, help us move over that hump that's stopping
Yeah, I
us.
was talking to someone this morning, literally about this, that the transformation that we're looking for is not necessarily the transformation that we will achieve, but they're not mutually exclusive, right? Like we
Right.
think we want this big result, and sometimes we walk away with a micro shift that's actually more meaningful and more important and it will ultimately lead to the big result, but that micro shift, when I see that look of recognition pop on the people's faces, like, I didn't even know I came for this, but now something clicked inside of me. I mean, that's the greatest win.
100%. I know yeah, 100%. That's what keeps the fuel going when we're able to literally help someone and go through and plow, not plow through, but like sometimes it's literally just chipping away and chipping away, but then it breaks and you get this moment of clarity, and it's a bunch of moments of clarity that create a big picture.
So you were talking about the importance of like keep showing up, keep being willing to. It's not even a matter of like you say break through, but like just keep showing up, and the shift is going to happen. And you're pretty much one of the best people to talk about this because I don't. How many years are you guys, you and your wife? You're in Vessel. What is it going to be your fourth year now or fifth?
No, it's actually gonna be my third year. So if I could just talk about
Yeah.
that, just for I know people listening about this. So the first year I was really super excited about it because I just started a new after a long, bunch of passive, a bunch of different people. I just started with a new therapist that was sort of getting me, in touch with my body, in touch with my breathing and where my inner child and stuff like that. And when I fell into your course, it was amazing, and it literally opened up my whole open. It was literally like the work I was doing. I was so excited. I just remember calling him and telling him, you gotta see, you gotta check out Fally Klein's work. You really, it's awesome. And she's saying so many, each module, especially the first one, it was so much information, but not only information, it was also real practices, real like meditations and homework. It wasn't just information. It was battery based, and you're able to implement it. As a man, I got highly triggered at, I forgot which one. I think it was number two or three. I went through the whole thing,
You know
but
what? I remember it. It was Marvel 2. It was the one on integrity. And you were the first one that highlighted that for me because after you, it became a bunch of different men who ended up taking Vessel, whether their wives were taking Vessel and they were taking it alongside their wives. So they were highlighting the contrast between them and their wives, or it was a guy on their own when I opened up Vessel for Men last cohort. The amount of men that told me that module 2 tripped them up, the one on integrity, I'm still trying to. I have hypotheses about why, but that's something I'm definitely curious about it.
It's okay. Okay, so yeah, so we can go in there, but I just wanted to say that okay, so for me it was like I still showed up. I was in a highly triggered state, and I still showed up. I listened to all the modules again and again, and all the Q&As, and I tried my best to do the homework. But because I was in a highly triggered state, it sort of like it was. I mean, I'm happy. I was in a highly good. It triggered something inside of me. It was, and then I came back the next year, and this is really a concept of that I really love about vessels and about your other courses, that you get to come back every single year. And in other words, it's okay. You don't have to. There's no finishing. It's okay. Like you've done it. Opened it up for you, and it's okay. You'll come back again, and you'll be a different person. You'll be in a different place when you come back the next year, which really happened. I came back the next year, and I'm like, wow, this is, first of all, it was newly recorded, but I'd taken notes. I'd still remembered from the old ones, and it was like, this is amazing. And the funny thing is that, for this interview, so you had sent me the module, and I listened to it again with the meditation again, and I heard it from a totally different place, and I was like, I can't believe it. I know this already. I know what you're gonna say. I know what you're gonna say, when you're gonna say it. I remember everything, but I'm hearing it from a different place, I'm understanding it differently. I'm able to use, literally, use what, some of the things that you said literally with my clients, and help them get to transformation. So that's really, really special about that. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, I'm not sure where you were going with
Yeah,
this, but
I was couple of things. First off, that is important feedback because I know I always have this my imposter syndrome, right? Or my insecurity of are people going to mind that they're re-listening to the same lectures last year? And this past year, I redid all of the lectures. For people's context, it wasn't just perfectionism. I was actually really, really sick 3 years ago when I recorded the last batch, and listening to it 2 years later, I became a little bit like worked up watching myself so sick. Even though I don't think people listening at the time knew, but I knew how sick I was. So
I did.
yeah, nobody knew because I was performing very well. I had my thyroid removed. I was dealing with cancer, so this was like I was in a much better place, and I wanted to revamp the material. I'm really proud and glad that we did that. But having people re-listen and then they always tell me, you did not see this last year. And I'm like, but I did because it's a recording. I didn't record it. And it showed me over and over. This is one of the things that I've tried to explain about Vessel, that it's foundational work. So it's not like you learn
Yeah,
Aleph Beis and then you know Aleph Beis the rest of your life. It's you have to keep relearning the Aleph Beis of yourself because this Das Atzmacha piece, you don't really know yourself. You're going to keep having to learn yourself as you grow. So you particularly, I before I get to the module that you chose, one of the reasons when I was thinking, I mean, there are almost, I think at this point, 300 alumni and
yeah,
300 registered alumni. So we're not talking about spouses, right? Because spouses get to come on the train. It's one registration per family. And you guys, you and your wife, have sent in such incredible questions. Not everybody who sends in questions to the Q&A writes their names. The two of you have always written your names, as far as I know, because there are so many questions
there.
that
Yes,
come.
we did, and we did because you've mentioned that when you write a name, you can keep the thread and see patterns. You're actually really good at seeing patterns and really good at responding to the actual question, while in general giving a lot of information for everyone else that everyone else can benefit from. So that's why I yeah, we always put in our
And
names. It
that
doesn't.
that was the thing for me. Like when you run a course, do you lose that personal thing? And I work
I,
very hard. Like if you send me your name, I'm not going to read your name out loud when I answer the question, but I will remember you. I will remember the question that you sent in. And you're
that's
right. You'll send in another question in Ignite, or you'll send in a question a year later, and I will be celebrating how far you've come. I've literally said that,
that's
like, you've sent in questions last year, and I know how far you've come.
yeah. We really appreciate that. I wish there was some sort of WhatsApp group for the
I
men,
know.
but
We need to
I
get a
can't.
little more men, a couple more male guys. Well, yes, men in this course, so that we can open a men's chat group because I think what the women have been building over the last few years, that level of
It's,
community.
it's unbelievable. I know that my wife was saying that like the first year we joined, so it was really active during the course and a little bit afterwards, but then it sort of like petered out, like Shavuos time with Dance of the Omer a little bit, and then it sort of like petered out. And this year, It's been going strong the entire, and she sends me like whatever, like, and it's been going strong the entire year, and it really keeps you in the thing. So I want to say for myself that, like, of course, the work that I'm doing, I go to my therapist. I'm doing breath work in my, not from, unfortunately, there isn't anyone isn't any man in Montreal who's trained by you.
Not by me, but I could send you some good people.
Yeah, no, no, and you did, and I've used them, and I've been doing some prenatal psychotherapy and some family constellations. I actually found a really good person in
That's
Montreal
awesome.
for a family constellation. I just did one. It's really really special. That was because of you. I was able to jump into it much
You
more,
trusted it.
because of, yeah, I trusted it much more. So it's all of that work, but then hearing the modules that you say, which is so foundational, that's what really sort of ties it together or brings it out. And that's what I found so powerful from just listening to now before we're recording.
So tell me, because I was so surprised when you immediately responded, I want module one. I want the module on self-love. Because for me, that is my hardest module. I think they're all my favorite modules. I love them all. But I have the most resistance to module one. In fact, when I was recording module one, I think like if you go back to the vessel content, I stumble the most on module one. It is still the hardest thing for me to talk about, self-love, primarily because it's my struggle, right? It's a struggle for a lot of people. It is the foundation of the whole course. Like every module gets woven in on the foundation of self-love. But I think one of my resistances to self-love is that if it could come across as very fluffy, right? Today in the Instagram
I
world,
didn't I didn't see that.
no, I'm not talking about that in Vessel. I'm saying the concept, or when you tell people
The
like
concept,
self-love, self-love. And I've
of
worked very
course.
hard to, this is not a fluffy course. When we talk about self-love, there's a lot of grit in there. But I was still surprised that as a guy, you went straight for that module. So I want to hear your perspective. What drew you to that? Why is that the one you keep coming back to? What is that? How does that show itself in your world?
Okay, so that's a really, I love that question. It's really deep. It's a really powerful question. So, in my world, like as a man growing up, totally detached from any emotions, not knowing what emotion was, just sitting and learning and pushing and just pushing to get to where I got to. When I finally took a moment and had to actually learn about that, I found that I was so not in touch with myself, and still even now I have a hard time being in my body, being present in my body, and it's just being present in general. Just so like, Baruch Hashem, I'm successful at what I do, but when I want to like tap into myself, I have such a big resistance, and so this module on self love is really for me. It was a core of I'm not able to get to the self love because I don't want to go there. And
Can you say more
so
on that? What do you mean you don't want to go there?
it's a being vulnerable and being aware that there's parts of me which is this little child that hasn't yet grown up and is still stuck and is still scared or upset or whatever he is. I literally cut that child away from me. That's how I got to where I got to. So any part of self love is like, oh, it's always like, yeah, oh, I should love myself. I'm an amazing guy. I'm successful. I'm an amazing Rebbe, amazing coach. So like, why don't I love myself? Yeah, because in myself, there's a part that I cut away that I have no access to. So I don't feel that love because that part of me is not getting any love at all. It's getting hate. I'm sending it hate messages and stuff like that. So for me to even access that and get to that place was a huge breakthrough. So that's for me that's literally that's my go-to place. Every meditation that I do, everything. Even just recently in breathwork, I was with a guy who's actually not trained as a non-Jew because the Jew wasn't whatever available. So we were talking about love. I was asking him how can I start to love myself. So during the breathwork, he was asking me, what does love mean for you? And every time he would tell me, he would ask, tell me, or breathe deep a bunch of times and say, what does love mean for you? And then he would ask me to take a deep breath in, as deep as I can, and hold it. And then meditate when I'm holding it on, just what does love mean for you? And after I exhaled, I would just, say what it meant for me. So for me, sometimes I would say like respect or like having, or like feeling, or like feeling confident or like whenever I started having money and whatever my blocks were coming up. So then he was asking me at the end, okay, so you feel like love is respect. So how is it going with respecting yourself? And that really hit me. Like you feel like love means when talking about self love, you feel like love means like caring for like if someone would care for me, okay, how are you able to care for yourself? Are you able to show your self respect? And those questions are still sitting with me. Am I able to show respect for myself? Am I able? And when I do that, I mean, love can change, love can mean different things for different people. But that's what self love means. Like, can I do this for myself? And when I think about it, I'm like, no, I'm not. I mean, I could, but this is where I need to work at. So that's really what this module for me was. I'm listening again, and again, the module one. There's so many. It's a lot bigger than this, but for me, this was a really big piece
And I'm
that I
also
can.
thinking that when you're talking about respect, right? I'm thinking that's also module 8, right? Module 8 was about love itself, right? So the first
Yes.
module is self-love and the last module is love itself, which
Right.
again, it's all
Right.
everything that we learned on the foundation of self-love just brings us back to it's a full circle. It comes back to more love. And when you talk about self-respect, it I'm going to go straight into the module 2 piece, the one that the guys seem to be super triggered by. Module 2 is about integrity, so the boundaries piece comes up a lot in module 2.
Oh yeah.
And what I have found is people today, boundaries is a word that people love to use. In fact, I always joke about this that all the books behind me are very new because up until 2016, I was only reading novels. I didn't think I was smart enough to read anything other than a novel. And the first book that I read that was not a novel, there were two that happened simultaneously. One of them is the book that I talk about in Module 3, The Language of Emotions. And one of them is another book called Boundaries by Henry Townsend. And boundaries is this word that people are talking about. And I've struggled with that for a long time. And it took me a while to recognize that if you don't have self love, you don't have self respect, there's no way that you could set a boundary. And the reason why people struggle with setting boundaries is because either they're people pleasing or they're too much ego, right? And I've just found that coming back to module 1 every year, if you can build up that reservoir of self respect and self love, boundaries are not something you have to set. They're just a way that you live, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you are setting them. It's just, it's not this, you don't need to take out this construction company to set them. You just, it happens. Yeah, I read the book No More Mr. Nice Guy. It's not really like, I don't know if you recommended that
I
ever.
think we spoke about it was I know that I didn't read it, but someone else brought
Right.
it up and I
Yeah.
think it came up into one of the conversations.
So anyway, yeah. So really, that's yeah. I'm Mr. Nice Guy, and I am a nice guy. It just when it comes without when it doesn't come with an awareness of am I respecting myself? Am I taking care of myself? Am I being kind to myself? Am I loving myself? So then it's just it's all over, and then it brings to resentment and to not to be in a good place. So yeah, so that's really I can't if I would like, and also I that was the module that I didn't get triggered on yet. So
Yet. Who knows what might happen
okay,
this year?
um, I'm really excited to come back and to get triggered and to be really I want to get more triggered than I got last year. I'm excited about that because I feel like I'm as like because I'm continuously learning. I don't know. I can't speak for everyone on Vessel, but if you're taking Vessel, it's sort of like it brings you such awareness of so many different parts and aspects, how big and beautiful a human being is, and just the awareness of that, and the ability to hold space for yourself, and to be kind to yourself, and to be nice, and understand that you're this you're a vessel. You have many parts and you have many pieces, and just to embrace all of that is for me it's it's literally what helps me go through the whole year doing even though I'm doing other not vessels only for a couple weeks. It's only for 8 weeks, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm laughing because every person that I have interviewed so far, I mean, I think these are the worst interviews in the history of interviews because everyone is basically coming on saying, I'm a real mess. I'm a coach, I'm a teacher, I'm a therapist, and I'm really a mess. I cry in the bathroom. And I'm like, these are the most unprofessional things that we're saying about ourselves in a public forum. And yet it's probably the most vessely thing that we can do. the
It
humanity of
is
it.
because yeah, it is because part of what you do in Vessel is that you make it so okay to be yourself, and that's why people are coming on and just being okay with being themselves. I'm not. It's and you really hold space for everyone like that, like and accepting everyone and all parts of everyone, and it's like it's okay. You don't worry about it. Like you'll be okay. Nothing.
We say
It's
that a
okay.
lot, right? You're gonna be okay. I know this. We say this a lot. You're normal. This question's normal. I promise you, it's gonna get better next week.
Right. Yeah, and that's for I mean for me like part of like we had the Q and A's like the ability just to be able to take every question no matter what and being able to be in the moment with the question and not and know that there's always something to say about the question and finding the right which I think is a lot of skill and a lot of siyata d'shmaya also. It really like when I get questions, Kobe, I used to get flustered sometimes. Now I'm like, let me hear the question. Let me take out the piece that's resonating with me, or respond to in a way. And I've really learned that a lot from you. So
Okay.
thank you very much for that.
So one of the things that I learned from you is that you and your wife took Vessel. You were taking it together. So I would get questions from
Yeah,
both of you. And it was so interesting because even though you were asking questions about maybe yourself personally, you were also letting me see the arc of your relationship with this. And
yeah.
you guys have been so present for that as a couple. And I'm curious if you could speak to that experience, what it was like taking Vessel together with your wife
So that's
and Ignite. You
I
did both of them together.
did both. Yeah, yeah. Did Ignite and Vessel. Ignite was more like was more I didn't do any of the playworks
They were
because
really designed for women. Yeah.
understand it's designed for women. But I did. I listened to all of the content and all the Q and A's, and I got so much from that. I can't. We're not even talking about that. But for Vessel, it was this amazing. Like we would sit down on the couch, we watch it together, and then we were able to talk like we were able to talk about it in a safe way. We spent a long time discussing ideas, and then doing the homeworks. We would sit down once a week. I mean, there's a bunch of homework, so I would do it. We would do it at our own time, but like we used to try to make time to sit down together. Of course, barring any unforeseen circumstance, everything like that, but to sit down and do some of the hard work together, and it was amazing. It was like we're on the same page. So much of the time, like when you meet a guy in therapy, like when it comes for coaching, if he's relationship coaching, and his wife, I have no idea where she is. I mean, I know what he tells me, but to be able to have the same foundational knowledge for both husband and wife about self, it's been so okay. Like it's literally like I'm just gonna say this about like I I could be more like withdrawn, more passive aggressive. My wife is a little more could be more a little bit more loud. And before Vessel was like, listen, I'm this nice guy. You're the one that's talking. And after Vessel, it was like, no, I deal with it in my way, and you deal with it in your way, and that's okay. We can each, and it's been taking a long time to learn that when I'm responding in a certain way and when she's responding in a certain way, it's just the way that we were wired because of when we were kids, how we respond, and that's okay. Again, that's okay.
I'm
But so that was yeah,
I'm imagining that there are people listening to you describe this, the way you and your wife watch Vessel and then talk after watching it and then talk after doing the hard work. And I'm sure that there are a lot of people who are cringing with the amount of vulnerability that it probably
mhm,
takes to do that with your spouse. And I know ideally our spouses should be the person that we're like running to do this work with, but I know because I've seen this again and again that it's in our most intimate relationships that the most resistance
yeah.
comes up and the most vulnerability. So how have you guys been navigating that? Like that's profound.
So who said we've been navigating it all the time? But Baruch Hashem, look, it's for sure. There's ups and downs like everyone, I, but we don't want to stay stuck. So it's sort of like, what do we need to do? Like, who do we need to become? What do we need to do? Who do we need to become in order to be able to move on and see past the, like, literally what we started talking about in the beginning, the things that we're actually doing. So that's really that's how we do it. Like not, I mean, that's how I do it. My wife is Baruch Hashem. She's a different place than me. She's actually she's been able to implement the techniques and whatever what you talk about in Vessel or better than I have. But at the same time, it's sort of like for me, I know for myself, when how can I see that my wife when after a whole day I come home and the kids are and and she's a little stressed out. How can I see beyond that? How can I see and that's my avodah right now. Before I come home, again, don't I'm not perfect at all, but I try to take a couple of breaths before I come in. And how can I be present now? How can I see beyond the actual chaos that's going on to be able to become a safe presence at home? I make myself sound like a tzaddik. I'm not.
I think this is the podcast of the tzaddikim who aren't tzaddikim, if for sure. It's like if anyone wants to come on and talk about all the things that make you a terrible person, this is the place to do it with so much love. And you're going to have so many people who are like, I want to get to know him and I want to work with him because, by the way, the amount of this has come up a few times on the Q&A. So I have a speech impediment that I used to be very tight about, that I don't want to ever stumble on my words in public. And then the more relaxed I get onto the Q&As, maybe not by week 1, but by week 4, by week 5, I'm stumbling over my words and something opens up there. Like the more human we get, everyone's like, oh my gosh, that's so endearing. Ugh, I can let my guard down too. Yeah. And
100%.
yeah, I remember on Ignite, I was saying something about Jordan Peterson was saying that the secret to a stable relationship is the couple has to spend 90 minutes with one another. And people had two different responses. Either like, what? Like I never, like 90 minutes, that's so long, or 90 minutes, that's so little. And I can't remember if he said 90 minutes or 90 minutes twice a week, but I think it was 90 minutes. And what people don't realize is like these are our most valued relationships. These are the ones we've committed to spend the whole life with. And we're not carving out those 90 minutes. And because we feel that giving someone our unadulterated presence for 90 minutes is so vulnerable.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's sort of like when you can lean into the person and realize that this person is not this is my spouse, this is my lifelong partner, and just lean into the beneath the surface. It feels so good that that's really makes it all worth it. All the triggering things that happen. Yeah.
Yeah, and what if that person that we're leaning into for 90 minutes a week is ourself, right? Back to that self-love
Yeah.
piece. This is when people want that magic pill version of this work. And I tell people, Vessel is not a joke. I mean, no one's forcing you to do it, no one's monitoring you, but it is about, 80 hours of content altogether, right? If you do it well, if you want to do everything, you could expect to immerse about 10 hours a week. And you don't have to do all of it, but if you did it at the bare minimum and you only showed up for a class, right, just the lecture, that's about 90 minutes. And
Yeah.
and to me, that's like, but isn't that the investment we should make with the most important relationship that we're going to ever have in our lives, which is the relationship we have with ourselves?
100%. Yeah, it's so hard to do that because of this because we're so busy like looking for the other thing and I mean at least for a man, I don't know, but for like we have to sit down and do the meditation like okay, how do I start every this bill and whatever, everyone knows, everything else comes up. So that's when you sit down and you have a goal. This is it's all about a goal also. This is just it's the content. It is already what it is, and I can make time for that and carve out time for sure. Like in the winter Matzah Shabbos, for me was really it was a whole Matzah Shabbos, and I was able to get the lecture in. I was able to do a
Was it you
meditation.
guys that asked for it?
It was actually
It was
us.
you. So we have to give you guys the credit because we used to release the episodes Sunday
Sunday
night.
night.
And
Yeah,
you were like, it's a short Matzah Shabbos. Can you release it the night earlier? And I'm like,
it was.
I never
Yeah,
thought of it, but thank you. Yeah, and a lot of
yeah.
people gave me that feedback that it's their Matzah Shabbos thing in the winter.
It really is, and it sets the tone, and when you're going into winter, it's really well. I mean, this is really ignite content, but when you're going into winter, you really need this concept of self love to be able to be okay with being with yourself because there isn't too much going on outside. So that's really what anchors it in for me, at least.
I love that. Okay, two more questions because I know we have a hard stop. First question
Okay.
is, who do you think in your mind should be doing this work, whether it's work with you, the kind of coaching that you do, or Vessel? Who would you recommend? Like, I don't recommend Vessel to everybody I meet.
So I do.
Oh,
Okay.
why? What is it that you think about that?
Okay. So first of all, I mean, if you you have to be open. If you're like if you're living in a box, in a small box, it's a lot of if you I think you'll get triggered by in the first minute. I don't mean that, I don't mean there's nothing about the first minute. It's just mean you have to be open to. There's so much going on that you need to be. You have to have an open mind. But if you're a person that's looking for to get to know why you do what you do and the mechanics of how you really work, which is everyone. So I'll tell you, for me, like I was seeing a therapist. The therapist wasn't saying different than you're saying. It just wasn't tailored. It wasn't this comprehensive course. It was stuff that he was telling me, the thing that I would bring up that week, the information that I would get, but there was so much more. And I kept on asking him, like, okay, I want to learn more, like, because I feel like if I know more, I'll come in better prepared. And it was really Vesa that it wasn't talking about me. It wasn't a one-on-one, but it opened up the whole floor for so much place to be able to experience myself, to be myself, to experience myself. So anyone that's in this space that it's in therapy, if you're in therapy, is definitely a must. It's not, it'll just enhance your experience. And if you're open minded and you want to learn more about the different parts of yourself that go on, why you do what you do, what makes you trigger, and how to in so many, I mean, I'm just first module, but go through all the different modules, what they say. And, you know, I used to tell my wife that literally each module could be its own course, and it's really it's really true. And so my I would I don't I think it's for everyone. I don't see who it's not for. In other words, yeah, someone who's going to be closed-minded and like in this and where you coming from. It's not about where you're coming from. It's about I'm saying something. Does it resonate with you? Can you find the place? If it doesn't resonate with you, fine. So then, as you say, leave it. But if it does resonate with you, what I'm saying, so now let's take it. So someone that's able to access that for themselves, it's so much. It opens up a person in so many different ways that I think it's. I mean, you get triggered. So when you have too many things open up, you can get triggered. But besides for that, that's what I.
Thank you. That's very high praise. So thank you. I know it's weird to say that people getting triggered from day one, from minute number one is high praise, but it is because that is really where the work gets done.
Is really yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Tzvi. Where can people find you, find out more about you? How can they reach you if they want to be learning more about what you do and maybe working with you?
Okay, so I really appreciate that. I don't have a website. I mean, I have a website, tzvilevitin.com, but I don't think it's up at
Say
all.
yet. I don't have a website yet.
I don't have a website yet. I haven't yet posted on social media. So, and I don't know if I plan on it, but but my phone number is in Montreal 438-990-4422.
We can just post it there as well.
You could just yeah you can just you can text WhatsApp that number or call. I do have and my email address is tzvi tzvi at tzvilevitin tzvilevitin.com, and I'll be happy to connect with anyone and everyone.
I love how they took the
I love
American out of you. The Z is like, it's really there.
sorry, that's from my that's like me thinking in Celsius. Like I don't know what 90 degrees is anymore. I know what 35 is.
Yeah. Listen, this is what Vessel does. It brings the best of people from all over the world together. So hold on to that Z. We're here from A to Z. All right. Thank you so much, Tzvi. You can look him up. We'll
Thank
post
you.
this information below. And of course, if you're curious to find out more about Vessel, you know where to find me. It's fallyklein.com/Vessel. Thank you so much. Before we wrap up, I want to give you a little something extra, a sneak peek into my favorite part of Vessel, our live Q&A calls. This is where the content comes alive in real time, shaped by the questions, stories, and the needs of the people in the room. It's raw, personal, and never the same twice. And it's where some of the most powerful shifts happen. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this surprise vessel reunion Q&A call that I decided to put together because I missed you so much. No, really, because I'm totally using this for advertising. The best part of Vessel for me and Ignite and the offerings that I give and put out there in the world is this. It's the interaction that I get with the people who are in my programs. It's one thing for me to come on screen and be like, okay, this is what I want to teach. This is what I want to say. This is what I'm passionate about. And this is what I want to give over. But then the real magic happens when I get to hear from you. When you share your questions and you're like, wait, who am I doing this for? Why am I doing this? And the Q&A is where all of this stuff come alive. And I realize every year that when it's time to open registration for either Vessel or Ignite, I talk about the program. I talk about the content of the program, but you can't give that over. You can't give the magic of what's really happening in the program because you just can't explain it to somebody who isn't on these calls, because these calls they're designed by you, right? I just show up for them, but it's you forming them. It's you shaping them with your questions. And I wanted to give people a real idea of what's really happening in Vessel beyond the lecture content and beyond the journaling and beyond the meditations. I wanted to give people a sense of the community and what it feels to sit in on one of these calls. So thank you, everybody, for being willing to show up here with me today on a Thursday. Yes, for those of you listening to a Vessel Q&A call for the first time, our Q&As tend to happen on Thursdays. We joke that it's our sourdough class because I sit here on screen and I watch, I'm teaching, but I watch all the, the women doing their sourdough and preparing for Shabbos and baking their kugels. So it's our Thursday morning sourdough call. And thank you to everybody who agreed to show up here. And I know that it's summertime, so not everybody's home, not everyone's on their normal schedule, but I'm so excited to be back in this space. All right, let's go straight to our questions. I am asking forgiveness in advance. There's no way I will be able to get to all of the questions in the short time that we have, but I will do my best to get to as many of them as possible. All right, let's begin. Hey, Fally, I am not where I need to be. I am not on what a great, smooth transition, for people who have never seen a Vessel call and they're expecting this professional teacher being on screen, we're just going to do this. And it's nope. The Vessel calls are where the veneer fades, where I show up in my my everyday tichel, not my fancy tichel, and I stumble over my words. There's no editing. There's lots of mistakes happening. I tend to blush sometimes. So this is not going to get edited out. People are going to see it as real as we are. All right, let's go to our first question now that I am where I need to be on the right screen. Hey, Fally, it's me. Okay, whenever I say it's me, for those who are uninitiated, it means that they have submitted their name. I know who has submitted. I know whose questions this is, but I don't announce it on the call. But I like to say it's me. I'm so excited for this extra Q&A. So I was in a car accident this past February. Ugh, that sucks. It wasn't my first. I think it was actually the fourth or fifth car accident I've been in. That's terrible. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm attracting car accidents to myself. Outward, I don't feel like it. Each time I've been put at fault, even though I could explain why it was actually the other person's fault. And each time I need to go for medical treatment for neck/back problems that come with whiplash. How can I get myself to get attention in a better way? Oh, wow. This is one of those questions that comes up a lot for people where we go through something difficult. And usually when one difficult thing happens to us, there's oh no, this is terrible, right? But then if a pattern of difficult things happen to us and we're aware enough, we can start noticing these patterns. We might start asking these questions of, why am I attracting so many of these very similar kinds of things, right? Similar relationships or similar catastrophes, like 5 car accidents is pretty intense. I mean, it's a lot. If someone gets into 1 car accident, it's a big deal, but 5, especially in a short period of time, and especially since every single car accident seems to have manifested in the same kind of you got blamed for it, whether or not it was your fault, and same kind of physical symptoms. So there's a lot to look at there. I would, though, highlight the last line that you wrote in your question. You asked, how can I get myself to get attention in a better way? So when we do shadow work is one of those things. It's module 4 in Vessel. Remember, one of my favorites. I say that in every module, I know. Shadow work is the ability to take responsibility for things we may not want to look at, or that we have, so to speak, pushed into the shadows. And people resisted at first because it's like, why am I taking responsibility for the things I don't like, the terrible things, right? Does that mean I'm responsible for every bad thing that happened to me? This is something that module 4 and module 6 have in common in Vessel, the shadow work, which leads into trauma work, right? And we view trauma as a recurring pattern in our life. When people become very good at shadow work, they stop taking it personally. Like, it's not an ego thing. It's like, there is something in me that is on some level drawing this in. And that's a beautiful thing to see when people are willing and able to do that. Now, when you put out there, how can I get attention in a better way? I am getting the sense, and forgive me if I'm wrong, that there's a little bit of like, you're judging yourself. Shadow work is real shadow work is not when we judge ourselves. It's actually when we stop judging ourselves that we can be safe to do shadow work. Because shadow is when we've taken a part of ourself that has felt very threatened, very unsafe, very judged as a child, and basically put that, that feeling, that thought, that belief, or that inner self into shadow, like try to kill them off. So shadow work is not, okay, I'm just an attention seeker, because that does sound like we might be hiding a little bit of self-judgment or guilt or shame or blame, as well as where you manifested your injuries, back of the neck and the upper back. In the line of work that I do with breathwork, and we deal with a good amount of body mapping, right? The body holds, not just keeps the score, it also tells the story of different beliefs that we hold in our body. The back of the neck has to do with conception. It has to do with being born. The back of the back, the actual back, has to do with guilt and shame. So if I was facilitating your body, I'm going to take a wild guess that you actually have guilt and shame around being born, about being here. Like, do I have the right to live? Do I actually have the right to breathe? Right? Am I allowed to be here? There's actually guilt and shame, not around survival, but around being born, like birth. It's not exactly the same thing. It's not existence, but being birthed into this world and everything that comes with birth, being nurtured, being taken care of. I wonder what your relationship with your parents might have been, because babies born into a parental structure that isn't able to nurture them or care for them in a healthy way, they end up feeling guilty. They internalize a lot of guilt as babies. Like, I'm a burden, right? My parents aren't able to take care of me. They shouldn't have to take care of me. It sounds like that guilt, shame around actually being born. And then when you're framing your question as, really, I'm just attention seeking, like, oh, that's the shadow work. I do need attention. I do need love. I do need nurture. And I don't think that you're wrong, right? These are things we all need, but it's the way in which you're saying it. It's like you're calling yourself attention seeking. In our society, the words attention seeking don't denote something very positive. It's like, such an attention seeker, right? Now, it's true, we all need attention. One of the most beautiful reframes I have heard for attention seeking is connection seeking, right? When we say that child is an attention seeker, what if we can reframe that child is a connection seeker? So again, I'm hypothesizing, because really, I think you should be sitting down with an amazing, coach, maybe who does Byron Katie work, some turnarounds, or DeMartini method. DeMartini method, I'm kind of like ambivalent about. I like his book. I like his work. I don't always like his coaches. There's a distinct difference. Not everybody who goes through the DeMartini method and has a certification in his program is actually in integrity with the kind of work and the lifestyle that his work actually demands. So I want to be careful with that when I put that out there. In general, anybody who's doing some sort of shadow work, you got to be careful, because people can be very good at speaking shadow work, but living in alignment with that is kind of tricky. But I would say, if you're doing this work on yourself, maybe instead of asking yourself, okay, I know I'm manifesting these car accidents so I can get attention, what if you said, I really am deserving of connection, and these things are giving me connection? There's also something more about, what does a car represent to you? I think you can treat this, if you still have the Vessel heart work book. I always get confused. In Ignite, we say playbook, and in Vessel, we say heart work, the heart work book. If you have the heart work book in Ignite, Vessel, what is with me? I can't even blame that it's a Monday morning. It's not a Monday morning. It's a Thursday morning. If you have the Vessel heart workbook, why do I do this to myself? I make things unnecessarily complicated. I could just say the Vessel workbook, but no, I have created language. It's a heart workbook, and I have made things impossible for myself to pronounce on a call when I'm trying to be smooth. But I would recommend that you open up to module 4's heart work, the dream sequence. Do you remember there was a dream? a heart work session on dreams, analyzing the symbolisms in dreams. And I know that you wish, am I talking too fast? Am I talking too fast? Is someone texting me privately saying I'm talking too fast? I am talking to my, I'm not nervous. I'm not nervous at all. At all. It's not, yeah, it's, I'm not nervous at all. Okay, I'm making myself, I'm going to take a drink. I know that your car accident was not a dream. It was more like a nightmare that actually happened. Are my people telling me, the breathwork facilitator, to take a breath? What have I done to my students? I have turned you into little monsters. I love it. Okay. I would say if you could treat your car accidents like a dream, write down the story of the car accident, and then do the dream sequence exercise on that story. Use everything in the accident as a symbol. The car is a symbol. Who is in the car is a symbol. What you remember, like if it's striking to you that your purse flew out of the window, I don't know, I'm just making stuff up, right? The purse is a symbol. The other driver is a symbol. And I would invite you to go through that entire dream sequence using the symbols of every car accident and see if there are some unifying themes that come up for you. And when they do, it will highlight for you, this is that thing that you keep attracting into your life. You're not attracting car accidents. You're attracting certain unmet needs, expectations, and false beliefs that not really attracting them. You're bringing them to the surface so that we can finally start working them out. And I really hope you do. I think we're all cheering. Not I think. I know we're all cheering for you because no one deserves to have to go through anything like that. And I hope that that was your last, the last time you ever had to experience a car accident. It's horrifying. It's very shocking. People underestimate the trauma, the traumatic impact, not just on the physical level, but the emotional and mental level. And I hope you're getting the resources that you need to be dealing with that.